everybody. My name is Emma, and welcome to the, wait for it, Kooky jar. Today, I'm going to be showing you a Photoshop tutorial for how to turn this poor man's face that I just wrote over into a very cool face paint effect with any logo or any flag that you'd like so that it looks very realistic. So we will not be just writing over his face today. I'm sorry, innocent stock photo man. Instead, we are going to be taking today this flag, but you're welcome to follow along with any logo you'd like, and you're welcome to follow along with any image of a face you'd like. It will work best if the photo is in good lighting and is of a high enough resolution, and if the subject is facing directly at the camera. But you're welcome to try it however you'd like. That being said, let's get into it. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to delete this layer that I just wrote over, and instead I'm going to duplicate the background layer of the image that I've just opened up in Photoshop. So I went to File, Open in Photoshop, and then I went and selected the image, which is currently saved to my desktop. So that will pull it open. Now I'm going to duplicate this layer. So to do this, I'm going to hit Control J or Command J on my keyboard. That's the shortcut. So now that I've done that, I have the background layer, which I always just like to keep, and the top layer, which we're going to edit. Now, we're not actually going to work on the official file where we're going to be putting the logo onto the face yet. Instead, we're going to be using this first image to make what's called a displacement map, or something that we're later going to use to tell the logo how to shape itself around the contours of the person's face so that it looks more realistic. So don't get freaked out with what we're about to do. We're actually going to select the top layer and go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, or Gaussian Blur. I don't really know how you want to say it. And you want to blur it approximately 6 pixels, depending on the resolution of your image. You want to be able to blur it just enough to hide all of the teeny tiny details, but maintain the bigger changes in shape on the face so that when we apply it to the logo later, it'll be able to detect, okay, this is when I should wrap around the lips, and this is when I should wrap around the nose to make it look much better. So once you've gone ahead and changed the radius to the right number of pixels that you think will blur it just enough, go ahead and hit OK. And now we're going to save this image as a PSD file, but we're going to name it displacement, because this is not the final image, this is the displacement map. Now, if you're going to do more of these later, you probably don't want to name them all displacement, so I am going to actually name it the final image, or what I'm going to eventually name the final image, followed by displacement, so that I know that this is the map, not the final image. Then I'm going to hit save it to wherever I can access it later, and I'm going to close it out. Now, we're going to open up the official document that we're going to be working on, go to File, Open, and open up this image again. And, of course, duplicate it with Command J, and you can hide the background if you'd like. I just like to keep it there for safekeeping. And now, we're going to begin working on it. So, the first thing we want to do is make a selection of the face that goes all the way up to the hairline, and all the way out to the sides of the face, and all the way down to the chin. And we want to do this however you'd really like to make a selection, but I'm going to use the Quick Selection tool. I'm going to use the left and right bracket keys to make my brush bigger, and now I'm going to brush over the face, and you'll see it will magically select everything that I want. And sometimes it will select too much, as it's done right now, so if I want to deselect something, I hold down Alt or Option, depending on your keyboard, and brush back over these areas to deselect them. To be more precise, I can change the size, and there we go. Now you might notice some of the harsh edges around, especially the hairline, that we want to smooth out. We want to refine, which is why there is the Refine Edge button. When we hit this, we're going to be taken to a new sort of interface where everything we've selected is normal color and everything we haven't selected is red. But notice that I can still brush over the object, or the subject, if you will, Turn on Smart Radius in the menu. Increase the radius a few pixels. And now make sure that we have the Refine Radius tool selected. This is what we're actually doing now when we brush over the figure. If we brush over the hairline, it will automatically fill in all those little hairs to make it a bit more blended. And you can also brush along the side of the ear. And it takes a little bit of experimenting, especially in areas where there's lower contrast. Notice how it's sort of cutting into his beard now. So you can hit OK, go back to your quick selection, and adjust it a little bit more to make it look just a little bit better. Now that we've made a selection, we can output it as a new layer with a layer mask, and then hit OK. Now what we want to do is we want to make just the part of the face that we've selected black and white, so that when we mask the logo over it later, it will be able to highlight all of the colors and it'll look more natural. So to do this, we're going to add an adjustment layer. So go to your layers panel and click this like half-filled circle button here and go to the option black and white. And it's actually going to turn everything black and white until we hit this button here, which is just a square with an arrow. This is going to quote-unquote clip the filter to the layer immediately below it, which is just the selection of the part of the face that we want black and white. And once we do that, just the part of the face that we want will be black and white. So now we can hide this menu. And the last thing we want to do is combine these two layers. So select the layer mask of the layer that we've just made, the layer 1 copy, drag it up onto the black and white filter, and it'll ask you if you want to replace the layer mask. Select yes or hit OK, and now we just have this one effect applied to this one area of the face. So now we're good to go and grab our logo. So open that up, and now we're going to select the image. So you can use whatever selection method you'd like. I am using the quick selection tool just to like brush over the entire thing, but you're welcome to use whatever you'd want. If the logo is against a background, you can select it from the background. Once you've selected the whole thing, hold down Command C, and now Command V. Now I can hit Command T, which is a shortcut for the free transform tool, to rotate it, and I want to rotate it this way, and resize it. So if I hold down Shift and then drag the corner in or out, I'll be able to adjust it however I'd like. So I'm going to resize it. I hold down Shift to make sure that everything is kind of to scale, and don't worry about parts of it going over the face for right now. If you want to see where exactly your logo is relative to the face, you can go over to the layers panel and decrease the opacity just so that you can see the effects of it. Hide this layer and go back to your black and white layer. We want to make sure that the eyes aren't black and white. So select your brush tool. Make sure that you've selected the color black and paint over the parts of the face that you want to un-black and white. So I'm going to paint over the eyes here. Just like that. And if I've painted too much, say I've painted up here, I simply grab white and paint back over it to reapply the filter. All I'm doing is I'm masking over the black and white filter so that it's only being applied to the areas where there isn't a layer mask. And if I paint in black, I'm adding a layer mask, so it won't apply the black and white effect. So now that we have everything good to go, we can make our flag re-visible. And we're going to select the flag by hitting Command and selecting the thumbnail of the flag layer. And now we're going to distort it two ways. The first, we're going to go to Filter, Distort, and Pinch. You want to pinch it enough so that it will appropriately follow the roundness of the face, or the bulginess of the face. So if you have a really 3D pop-out face, you might want it pinched that much. But for this face, we're just going to do a little bit. Hit OK, notice that it should round itself out a little bit, and hit Command D to unselect your selection. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the flag is only applied to the areas where the face is black and white, aka the part of the face that we actually want to cover with the logo. So to select the areas where it's black and white, hold down Command and select the black and white mask. Now go back up to your flag layer and add a layer mask over it to mask everything except the selection that we've just made. Next, we're going to zoom in, and we can refine these areas if we'd like. You can paint, I believe, white over to restore any of the flag area. So if this edge is too jaggedy for you, you can move that out a little bit. And if you're not entirely happy with the hairline, which actually seems to be very nicely selected, you can go ahead and do that. And once you're happy with your selection, we can finally displace it. So to do this, we are going to select this layer. We're going to go to Filter, Distort, Displace. We want to set our horizontal and vertical scales to 5. We want our displacement map to stretch to fit. We want undefined areas to repeat edge pixels. Hit OK, and now we'll be prompted to select the file or the map that will tell us how to distort our logo. So now we're going to pull up our very blurred original image, or slightly blurred, it's not that blurred, our displacement map. Once we hit OK, you'll notice that it will distort the areas around the lips and some of the eyes. Notice before, after. Look at that again, ready? Before, after. Before, after. It just makes it more realistic. Last but not least, we want to change the blend mode of this layer to something more realistic, which in this case is going to be color burn. Now you can change the opacity to look as realistic as you would like. So I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you happen to be new to my channel, please consider subscribing for awesome random videos. I'm on a Photoshop streak right now, so I'm having a lot of fun. Feel free to leave this video a like and send me links to the photos that you have made using this awesome tutorial. It can get very creative with what logos and flags to put onto people's faces, believe it or not. So again, I'd like to thank you for watching. This has been Emma from the Kooky Jar, and I will see you next time. Bye!